directors for OutCT, and I'm also the Education Committee Chairperson. And I'd like to welcome you to Who's in the Neighborhood New London Pride Edition. We have a wonderful treat for you today. We have so many great people that we're going to be talking to, who's going to share their perspective around pride and what it's important to us. And so without further ado, I'm just going to let folks introduce themselves, right? Because I don't think I could do it justice. So I'm going to go ahead and let anyone who wants to jump in start it. And after that person does it, then you go right ahead, the next person.
So hi, I'm Edwin Ivey. I'm the Vice President of OutCT, and I've been on the board for about 5 years, and welcome.
Hi, my name is Chancey Savage. I'm not on the board of OutCT, but I've been invited by Chevelle Moss-Savage to participate in this wonderful OutCT event tonight. I look forward to sharing and speaking with you at some point. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cecil Carter. I am on the board of LCT. I am a chair. I'm a Pride chairman. I've been with the board for 4 to 5 years now, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Crowley. I go by Crowley, and my pronouns are he, his, and I'm rejoining the community after 2 years in Maine, finishing my undergrad. I'm excited to be here.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Pride kickoff week. I'm Xavier Day. I am your OutCT secretary, and I'm a community member from New London, and I look forward to tonight's conversation, the laughs, the kikis, and what's in store.
Awesome. So listen, y'all, I told you we had a powerhouse of panelists, right? So I'm so excited. We have so many different perspectives from folks who've attended Pride, who actually have been on the board of directors, as well as who have helped plan Pride. Oh, and we're here hearing our president just said Happy Pride, Kia Baird. Hey, Kia. So listen, I'm just going to jump right into it. So a lot of you, if you've seen me and I've followed me on some of the social media regarding OutCT, you know that I am not originally from here. So this question of tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you end up in Southeastern Connecticut? I came here 3 years ago from Richmond, Virginia. So I have a little bit of an accent. I don't think I have an accent, but others tell me I do, especially when I say y'all. But anyway, so I'm excited to be here. I'm grown in meeting community, and I'm just excited to be a part of this community from Virginia, from 48 years, y'all. Woo, can you believe it? Anywho, so listen, I'm going to kick it over to Edwin. Edwin, tell me, how did you end up in Southeastern Connecticut? And expand a little bit about yourself too, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I'm originally from New York. I came over here to Connecticut, New London specifically, when I was about 11 years old. New York Rican. Both my parents came from Puerto Rico. They both talked Spanish most of my life. I grew up, learned that as a first language, and also learned English at a young age. I've moved over here, like I said, when I was 11, and I've been living in the area for most of my life. I did leave the state for a short period for college. I went out to Boston and Minnesota for college, and have a background in TV production out there. Originally, TV production was my first passion. I like being behind the scenes and producing shows, and then I eventually decided I'd like to produce events like the Pride event. So I've been working with OutCT first as a cameraman, and now I'm on the board. So it's been a fun ride.
Now, see, what y'all don't know, thank you, Edwin, is that when Evan said that he has background in television, that is correct, because he actually is the producer of the YouTube show that we have called Who's in the Neighborhood. So he actually usually is the person who does all the editing and really make sure that I am sounding my most best. So I appreciate you, Edwin, so much for that. So next, you know, no problem. Ben, please tell us, how did you end up in Southeastern Connecticut, and tell us a little bit more about yourself as well.
Okay. Well, I was lucky enough to be born here, and I've lived here most of my life, aside from when I went to Maine to finish my undergrad. And yeah, it's been a very interesting time living here. I love it here, obviously, because I moved back. I could have moved anywhere in the world, but I chose to come back here. So that says a lot. Let's see. So some super interesting facet of my personality is I'm super dapper and like about education. And I had originally gone to Maine to pursue my undergrad in women, gender, sexuality studies, with a focus on trans studies. That did not turn out that way, but I'm hoping my master's will. So I hope to be like a post-secondary transgender focused educator. So, and it's weird that that's my passion.
Thank you so much, Ben. And just a little side note, Ben also is a poet and was our head speaker at our Everyone Deserves Pride and did a phenomenal job with his poem as well as his share during the program. So thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, Ben.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go to Xavier. Oh, child, Lord have mercy. You only got 60 seconds, Xavier. I'm just.
Well, I think that's the best introduction there. I am the loudmouth motorboat themselves. I wear many hats. I was born in New London. My mother is from Brooklyn, New York. My father is from Alachua, Florida. The only time I've been outside of Connecticut was when I went to college. I did my undergrad in culinary arts, a bachelor's for food service management. I'm very passionate about volunteering and about my community. I've been part of the Norwich NAACP. I've been part of OutCT now for 4 or 5 years, just from volunteering and attending Pride to now being a secretary and, working with some outside vendors to, get not scholarships, but sponsorships and bring money in, learning some more of those organizational structures. I do a lot of work for social justice and advocacy, and that's for marginalized populations, for people living with and infected by HIV and AIDS, those who are, struggling to have housing stability, income stability, food insecurities, access to resources, access to just equitable medical care. So I definitely, strive to stand up for those communities, but to also be a resource to them. Thank you.
Thank you. So glad that you shared all of the information and some background information about you, Xavier, because folks also, can access those resources if they need to reach out to you. Xavier works for Alliance for Living. So if you need to reach out, and I'm sure he can tell us later on in the program how folks can reach him, right? If they need support around that. So next I'm going to jump to Chancey. Chancey, will tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in Southeastern Connecticut.
Well, thank you very much, Chevelle. I'm born and raised in New York. I'm a New Yorker. I lived in all the boroughs except Staten Island. So anybody that's from Staten Island out there, I'm sorry, I never made it to your neck of the woods. But I've lived in all the boroughs except that. I spent quite a bit of time in Virginia. I moved to Virginia like late 1990s, and I was there until 2017. And along the way, I managed to meet Chevelle Moss-Savage, who is my spouse, and I dragged her up to Connecticut, and that's the reason why she's here, just in case y'all want to know the real deal. But I am actively involved in higher education. I worked in higher education in Virginia, and I currently work for a private college here in New London, and I enjoy my work. I think something about me is that I'm one of the older people in the community, and it's been a wonderful experience to be a part of OutCT through my spouse and learning all of the new and wonderful things that the community is doing to help our younger youth. Working on a college campus, it gives me an opportunity to see the struggles that a lot of our students are going through. And being in a position like I am now, a woman, a gay person in the community, it allows the students to look and see that there is an opportunity for them to be successful and be a part of a community and still be their authentic self.
Why, thank you so much, Chauncey, aka my spouse. Yes, y'all, that's how I got up here. I follow love, right? Anywho, last and certainly not least, honey, let's hear about let's hear from Cecil. Please tell us how you ended up in Southeastern Connecticut and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I came from the military. When I was 17 years old, well, first of all, I was born and raised in Texas. And through the hard work of my family, they gave me the brain to want to move forward and want to just do a lot of things and explore this world. So I wanted to do just that. So the military came to my school when I was 17, about to graduate, and they said, hey, we can give you the world. We can show you the world. Just join us. And I did. So I joined the Navy and I came to Groton. When I left Texas, I made it and came to Connecticut. I made it my goal to improve myself, to become my own personal unique self. So I came out, I got a great job, found a loving relationship. And one of the biggest things I wanted to do while I was here was actually give back to the community, give back to my friends and give back to my family, to show them that, hey, you know what, thank you for taking a chance on me. I want to give as much as I can to you. So that's why I joined OutCT. So, and this is why I'm here.
Wow, thank you so much. So, came all the way to Groton from Texas. Okay, Cecil. Some Southern roots here, definitely some Southern roots. So I'm gonna just share. So what's going on, y'all, as well. Please know that while we're live as well as on Facebook, and so people are sending information. And so our wonderful fellow board member, Alicia, is in charge of our tech tonight and is letting us know what is being said. So I'll periodically be sharing with you what folks are saying in the chat. And please, y'all, feel free, if you have any questions for us or about OutCT, feel free to put them in the chat. We will do our best to answer those questions as well. So Kia has said thank you, Ben, for your wonderful share at the vigil. And our other board member, honey, we roll deep up in here. Kyle is hyping everybody up and thanking everybody for allowing us to get to know us, thanking us for allowing folks to get to know us better. So thank you so much, Kyle. Let me tell you something. Kyle needs to be everybody's publicist because Kyle always is so complimentary, honey. So listen, we talked a little bit. I know y'all were kind of like touched on like your involvement with OutCT, but I just want you to kind of go a little bit deeper and expand on that. Like, what is your involvement with OutCT been for past as well as present? I know, Edwin, you talked a little bit about how you started, but can you tell us about that journey, how you started, and then like how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So I started as a cameraman at a volunteer cameraman as some of the earlier Pride events. Just started working behind the scenes. I was really wanting to know how the festival functioned. And once I joined the board, I kind of wanted to know about the business side of things and where all the money was coming from. So I've been doing a lot of digging, and I found out it was mostly through sponsorships and some fundraising. And I got really involved with that. Being involved with sponsorships, you're getting more involved with the community. So it's working with a lot of community sponsors and building relationships within New London, which is really great. All these local brands that I know, like Q105 and The Day, Dominion Energy, even to the bigger corporate ones that we have now, like Tito's and T-Mobile. We also just recently got EB, so that's something local, and it's really giving back to the community. So I'm really excited about that. I've also been trying to work with vendors and trying to work with more smaller businesses on a smaller scale and trying to bring them into the Pride Festival and trying to work with them throughout the year. We have a youth program also, which I'm a part of, that we'd like to try to get involved with the community as much as possible. So if there's a paint night that or a paint organization, we'd like them to be involved with our kids at a paint night or a bowling night if we want one. We're going to be talking to Norwich Bowling Alley about having a fundraiser over there at the end of the year. So it's been a lot of fun. It's not just trying to get all this money, but building these relationships and having all these events all over the place. It's been a crazy fun ride.
Wow, thank you so much, Edwin. And yes, Edwin does a fantabulous job in getting our sponsors and organizing our vendors for Pride. So we really appreciate that. So speaking on that, I'm just going to jump right back to Cecil. And Cecil, tell us about your journey, past and present, with OutCT.
LCT, my past experience at LCT. LCT was my I'm coming out moment. I joined LCT for me to come out, for push myself to say, hey, you're a gay man, accept it. And it's time for you to, embrace that. And, if you can embrace that, you can help other people embrace that. And so that's what I did. When I first got to LCT, I was in the background. I helped people with their events, and I was also the treasurer as well. After that was actually passed on over to Dale, and I became Pride chair. And through Pride, it's been a wonderful experience because I got to, see magic happen at the beach and it's at Ocean Beach, and it's just been amazing. For the most part, now I am really just branching out, trying to make sure that LCT has reached a lot of committees. As you said, as Edwin just said, EB has now become a sponsor, and I work at EB, and through that connection, now we have formed one together. Also, I also sing with the Connecticut Gay Men's Chorus, and through the Connecticut Gay Men's Chorus, we also have made a connection. So I am, as much as I possibly can, trying to expand the love and expand LCT to everyone in New England if I could, not just Connecticut if I could. So that's my involvement.
Cecil, thank you so much. As I have mentioned so many times before, representation is important, right? And sometimes if you see a youth who can see an educated, articulate man who identifies as gay, then that may propel them to say, it's okay to be who I am. It's okay to be in my skin. And so I thank you for that. I thank you for that, because we definitely need positive representation, right, for our youth as well as our elders, honey, because there are folks who have not been able to, right, live out, right, based on forever reasons. And we love and affirm you. We understand it, honey, and there is no shade in that. You are affirmed and authentic, all right, all the time. And how you show up. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, speaking when you said that, you said even elders. I was actually really happy because there was this one time where I was at a Pride and I was at my booth, and we was at the booth for the Connecticut Gay Men's Chorus. And there was this one elder gentleman that actually joined the chorus, and he was probably in his 60s or 70s. And because I said hi to him, because I welcomed him, he actually came out. He came out in his 60s. So that was amazing. I want more of that. But yeah, thank you.
No, honey, that was worth interrupting. So thank you. I told the panelists, listen, y'all, we can all sing together, but we can't all talk together. So one at a time, but it's all right. I'm glad that you did interrupt me for that one. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to Chancey. And if you can tell me a little bit more about your involvement with OutCT past and present.
I don't even know why you asked me that question, because anybody that knows you knows I had no choice but to be a part of OutCT. If there was a past for me, I would have been involved, but there's a present for me and I'm involved now. I'm making a joke, but I must say, for those of you who have met me, I'm not really out in the forefront a lot. More often than not, you see Chevelle and not me, but you know that I'm in the background somewhere. You either hear me at the back of a meeting or you hear me make some kind of comment. But I think as a result of Chevelle's enthusiasm about what she does and the work that she does in OutCT, how could I not want to be a part of that? I mean, I go to the functions that I want to go to, but I'm always supportive. I'm always proud of the things that she does. And I'm very excited about the work that the organization does as a whole. For a minute, I had to sit back and say, all right, this is Connecticut. Let me see what it's about. But you guys are about it. And I know that's probably old, so I'm aging myself in some shape, form, or fashion. But I think it's incredible that there are still organizations that are out there trying to make the world comfortable for people like us. And if I suppose that if I did know Chevelle and I was up here by myself, I may very well have gravitated toward this organization because of how welcoming and open you are and willing to, embrace different things, have new ideas, do different functions to meet the needs of the people in the community. And I find that to be a very commendable attribute.
Thank you, honey. So kids say you were voluntold. That's how you got involved. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm just a shrinking violet. I just show up for things. But anyway, so but thank you for that. And as Chancey mentioned, we're not from here. She's been up here about 4 years, and I've been up here definitely 3. But I will share my my first meeting at OutCT was that when we came up here, I remember it was July 3rd, honey, that I came up here. She said, I'm coming to get you, packed the car, and we moving up. And that's what happened. And I think the next month they had the Pride Festival. And I was like, Johnson, they have a Pride Festival. She's like, New London has a Pride Festival. I was like, yes. So I went, and it was really welcoming, and that made me want to be involved to the point where I came back the next year and volunteered. And then the following year, I started attending events and got on the board, and here we are. I'm in my 2nd year of service, so excited about that. So you've heard a little bit from me, you heard from Cecil, you heard from Chancey and Edwin. Ben, come on, tell us, honey, come on through here.
Okay. So I don't have as much involvement as everyone else, but I do have like a very, very fond memory of the prides that we've had here. So I haven't attended all of them, obviously, because I was away. But back when I was at Three Rivers, I led the LGBT community there. We were like, why don't we ever do anything outside of school, like during the summer months? So we Googled it, and we found this pride. We arranged car rides, and we went there. And I was like, this might be like a little weird, because True Color, I was expecting it to be like a little bit like True Colors. It was not like True Colors. It was fun. We went there. It was warm. It's fun. I love Ocean Beach. And then we just made that our summer tradition. So it was actually something that I'm looking forward to, this being my first year back. But also I'm hoping to be on the education community. I can't even talk. Education committee. But like, just the idea that we went there, we didn't know anybody, but it was just like, we didn't feel out of place. We dressed how we wanted. We were just there. We made all the jokes we wanted. We saw beautiful people. We were like, we recognize the signs of like, this is our community. Like, that person may be trans, but like, look at them. They're beautiful. Look at that beautiful drag queen. Look at this other beautiful person. Like, look at that beautiful couple. That's not something that we got to see. And a lot of them are younger than me. So for them, it was like, we didn't see it on social media. We didn't see it, on TV. We saw it in person. We saw it in person. So that's my involvement with Pride specifically and OutCT.
Well, I mean, that is a beautiful story, honey. And let me once again, anybody that knows me know I always say representation is important. Representation is important. And just for all of those things that Cecil named, as well as Ben, as well as Chancey. So last but not least, my adoptive child, Xavier, please tell us your past and present involvement with OutCT. It's gonna be colorful, y'all.
Look. Oh my goodness, I gotta make sure so I get the right one. I've done so much with different community partners. It started off, even before being on the board, I went to a Pride, and this is around the same time I started working with the Lions for Living. I met this beautiful human who was getting ready to celebrate their 10th birthday. And I met them at Pride as my alter ego, who many have met through drag exposure, who have met through fundraisers, Miss Kiki Shepherd. This beautiful human came up to me and said, "You're such a beautiful person." I said, "Well, so are you, thank you." And their parent walked up to me and said, "I really appreciate you for seeing the beauty in my child." And mind you, I still was probably looking like a deer in my head. I said, "Well, why are you saying this?" I treat everyone the way I would want to be treated. And this little human looked at me and said, "Well, I'm trans." And I had to take a step back. And I said, I appreciate you sharing this lived experience with me. I did not know that. And I was so glad because this beautiful human said, can I add you on Facebook? Can I follow you? And I said, well, that needs to come through your mother. I want to make sure your mother has consent, that she's aware of that. I don't ever want to overstep those. But it started to say, if I could have people approach me, what more could I do? What else could I bring about in this community that I live in? And every year, this beautiful human would return to Pride. And I said, all right, how do I get on this board? And what do I do? Because one of the questions that we asked during our onboarding is, what OutCT events have you been to? And I've gone to the Pride, I've gone to a few of the happy hours when the schedule commenced. I've tried to attend some events here and there. And I remember a coworker of mine said, well, I think you should be on the board. You'd be a good fit for the board. And I came onto the board that first year. And then I said, all right, get my feet a little wet. Let me try something out, try something different. I'm all about a good turn up, a good party. I was like, let me try something different. Let's do some fundraisers. And then I remember that retreat that me and Cecil went to for our first retreat. I remember that retreat because me and Cecil looked at each other because it's about that time where we had to take on a role. And I remember my comment saying, no, I don't know. For those of you who know, I love to laugh and I'm a loudmouth, but I do, as much as I seem like a natural leader, I'd rather be behind the scenes and you tell me what to do and where to be and what time to be there. I might be 5-10 minutes late, but I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna show out. Well, that was when I got inducted into learning how to be a secretary. And ever since then, it's been taking on new roles, challenging yourself, but having the board challenge you and to back you, doing events, doing fundraisers. And when I first started, we had our secretary at that time was Chrissy. So Chrissy and I split the position. So I learned how to do some of the behind the scenes, like how do you go to get mail? How do you go to do this? So I was learning a lot. And then we had some transitions in our board and it was, you gonna learn how to do this full role. And Chrissy kind of softly gave it to me. And by softly, I mean, within 90 days, I was doing that work. And I was like, oh, okay. We gonna work this out some kind of way, y'all. We gonna work it out. And I have to say, I've never looked back on that and regretted anything. It has been a learning experience. I have seen people volunteer for the board. I have seen our prides grow. I have seen, after last year, a pride go virtual and still reach people. And one of the beautiful things that I've noticed that we were able to do during a pandemic, during a state of emergency and a crisis, we reached new populations, new target markets, our who's in the neighborhood, our happy hours that were virtual, they were inviting to other community members, to people who may not attend a traditional happy hour, to people who may not attend Yappy Hour, to people who may not attend Pride or an event that's at a night establishment. We start to see new people coming in. And I have to say, in the few years that I've been part of OutCT, that shows the forward progression, but that shows that the future ahead of us is completely our own to create, and that there's an opportunity for us to try something new and to really change the face of our community. And I am excited for that. I look forward to onboarding more members, and I look forward to the growth that we're gonna have here. Because in my short time, we've started with 8 board members. We're now a board of, I believe, 12. So that only can show you what you can do when your community comes together.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that that wonderful share, Xavier. Amanda Anderson says that she loves how I laugh every time I introduce you because she knows I know that you're going to talk. Listen, Amanda, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Yes, I'm very aware. That's my pumpkin. Anyway, so, I'm going to go ahead and shift right into something that Xavier said, because last year we had our virtual Pride, right? And I'll be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the board, but our virtual Pride was the bomb.com. Okay, like it was one of the best virtual prides I've seen. Everybody who worked together to put that thing it was awesome. And so everything was virtual, and we definitely got a lot more engagement during COVID. So I'm going to ask y'all, how have you had to shift personally and professionally with COVID-19 and now the Delta variant, right? If you could just share really quickly about that, because I have some other things that I want to talk about, and I want our viewers to be able to kind of get to know y'all a little bit better as well.
So I'll jump right in. So because of the COVID outbreak originally last year, we definitely had to shift everything like really at a moment's notice. It was like a hard pivot because we had to keep on continuing programming. So it was not just for our regular like monthly meetups, but we had a youth program we couldn't let down. A lot of things did get shifted online, which was great. We learned how to do Zoom. We learned how to ship materials ahead of time to the youth if they needed it for projects. And then we started learning how to do conferences. We even did an online NERP conference, which was really awesome, and how to manage doing workshops online and teaching each other, learning from each other. And there's always room to grow. Like we just learned how to blur backgrounds from Chevelle earlier today on Zoom. So it's always a learning experience. I'm really grateful for it, but I would like things to get back to normal. Unfortunately, the Delta variant is kind of scary right now. So in my personal life, I'm definitely trying to distance myself as much as possible, wear a mask in highly crowded areas, definitely indoor areas that are crowded. We just got to be mindful of what's going on in the area and hope that things get better, and hope we get booster shots to fight this virus down more.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you so much. Ben, I'm going to go to you and ask how you've had to shift personally and professionally based on COVID, as well as now with the upsurge of the Delta variant.
So professionally, it has been a lot of, I used to think I was like a really easygoing guy, and I'm not. I'm very much a stickler for the rules, whether it's the CDC guidelines or the company the restaurant that I work for. Very much like, this is how we're doing it. I will take no room for argument anymore. And then but personally, it's really gotten to know me and see like the community around me, because like I done a lot of things where I was like, I never thought in the entirety of my life that I would be so afraid to hear someone sneeze in my life personally. But it's also made me like a lot braver, because I was like, eventually I'm gonna have to go in that grocery store. Like it's gonna happen. I have to just man up and do it. But also seeing like the caring and compassion around me. So I was in Maine when the original shutdown happened. And I was like 57 miles away from home. And I was a little terrified. I always thought that I was a loner, and like my day-to-day didn't really change, because the only thing I really did was go to the store on occasion. But like I had to learn how to be a student online, and I had to learn a lot more discipline, because I needed the accountability of having to go to class to get a lot of stuff done. I used to think that I was like a very focused and organized person until like they switched methods, and you'd think it'd be easier because I was at home. It was not easier at all. But I was like really happy to see. I saw in Maine, and then when I moved down here, I saw a community of people that just came together. Like there was a group that I was previously working with, where we were just like, we're going to switch our focus from meeting in person to being online, and then I had to very quickly learn how to facilitate online. But also we were like, hey, are you struggling? Because we have a lot of insecurity with like so many things that are more than just healthcare, which is a huge problem up there, but also food insecurity and housing insecurity. And I was like watching my community come together and solve these things, like provide resources, or just, hey, you can sleep on my couch, even though like that was a little bit dangerous. But it was heartwarming to see, because like nobody was out in the cold and nobody went hungry. As far as we knew, like if you reached out, you got answered. And so I don't know, that was my experience with the shutdown. And then as soon as it was safe to move, I moved back home because I was not playing around.
Thank you.
So I'm happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much, Ben. You know, one thing that you did highlight, which I love, is that when you talked about the community and how the career community came together, right, to support each other. And that's one thing I love about our community, right? Because at the end of the day, they were telling us to isolate. That's why our mental health within the Black and Brown, as well as non-Black and Brown queer community kind of suffered because a lot of our families, some bio families don't support us or affirm us. So a lot of our family is made up of chosen family. And if you are saying that you cannot be with them and you have to be by yourself, or if you were sent home, right, and you had to be with chosen family who does not affirm you or support you. So that affected the mental health of so many humans. So the fact of the matter that you had people who were still trying to reach out and people who were like, do you need something? Like, you know, I know folks were like, well, I will drop groceries off at your mailbox if you need it. Don't worry about it. You know, so even though it was a lot going on and it was definitely scary and still is scary, let's just not say was, still is, right? But however, I love how we as a people come together and will support each other. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. So, listen, Xavier, listen, 30 seconds. Tell us, how does this affect it? Child, you got to give them some parameters, honey. All right, go ahead.
All right, how's it affected? I had to learn how to set boundaries for myself, and I'm going to say within the 30 seconds. I had to learn when I was working that there were hours that I was working and to still have a personal life in my own home while having a work life. But I only worked from home for about 2 months. And then, you know, I was in office and still trying to meet people, but follow the guidelines. And I still follow those guidelines, you know, meeting in places outside for less than 15 minutes, having a mask on, and, you know, really trying to take care of my own wellness. And, you know, checking in with providers. You know, during COVID, there were several transitional periods for me. So, you know, it taught me that it's okay as a person of color to seek mental health. That it is okay for me to say, I'm not okay. I need to talk with someone. And during COVID, you know, I appreciate the support systems that I had. I appreciate the therapist that I had. You know, it really helped me to get through periods of depression, periods of isolation, periods where there was re-traumatization. You know, being able to reach out and stand tall and firm as a person of color and as a man who's a person of color, that was something that was very eye-opening and awakening for me. And I still, you know, encourage people to reach out today. So that's something for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're going to go to Chancey.
COVID, personally and professionally. Well, actually, I have to be honest. Unlike most people, I didn't have the opportunity to work remotely on a consistent basis. I work for an institution of higher education, and my job function, Director of Campus Safety and Emergency Operations, 24-hour operations. That means that my staff is there 24 hours a day. So I wasn't there 24 hours a day, but I had to be there every day to support my staff as they were traversing COVID. The interesting thing for me is that personally and professionally, the lines kind of blur because what I do is emergency management for a living. So you can imagine how we had to function in the household. We were wiping down groceries and, you know, buying toilet paper and Clorox wipes. And, you know, I had to explain to Chevelle a couple of times how serious this was. And she thought I was being melodramatic. So I think that I managed it very well. And I find the interesting thing is it's not COVID so much now. It's now that everybody's going back. Everybody's coming back because the college is virtually a ghost town. So now I have people in the office next to me. I have people that I have to actually sit in real live meetings with. I mean, I'm looking at folks that are sitting right in the chair next to me. So I think, interestingly enough, the effect is not so much what COVID presented to other people in terms of isolation and working remotely. It's like I spent a whole year and some change working by myself in my office. And now I have to go back to not just pressing a button from meeting to meeting, but now I'm going into these spaces where there are other people, whether they wear masks or not, and they do. It's just a matter of, oh my God, do I really want to be that close to people again? Is it really a safe space? You know, they can say what they want and we're all sitting in masks. But that's the psychological thing that I think that I'm going through and a lot of people are going through now. as we get back to what is going to be our future. It'll never be back to normal for me. And I don't look at it as a new normal. It's the future as we have to live in it and navigate it now.
Thank you so much for sharing that perspective. And yes, y'all, who I'm married to shaped how I navigated COVID largely. All right. I'm telling you, every time I had to leave the house and go to the grocery store, I wondered if she was going to spray me down with Lysol, child. It was a lot. But anyway, that kept us safe, and I appreciate her. And we never ran out of toilet paper or paper towels or anything major. So thank you for that, babe. So anyway, Cecil, I'm just going to jump to you and just ask like how you've had to adjust to COVID professionally and personally, and the Delta variant.
Well, Miss Chevelle, my mom, I was like you in the beginning. I would have to say that I didn't take COVID very serious. It wasn't something that I truly believed in. I heard the rumors, no one knew about it, and I was on that bandwagon. Okay, no one knows about it, and people were just related it to the flu. Okay, you're gonna get sick, and that's how I took it. And it was James, who was just like you, Chancey. Was like, nah, we staying inside. We had a sanitized station at the door. We had to take off our shoes. We had to take a shower every time we left the house. You had to wipe your phone, everything. So that was James who protected me. And it wasn't an eye opener for me until I started losing family members. Once I started losing family members, exactly. Yes, Edwin. Thank you, James. I love you. You're amazing. Once I started losing family members, then I took it serious, and that was my wake up call to get my shot and to become more educated in what's going on, and I did that. So personally, I grew up, and I started doing the right things. I started actually wiping things down. I started making sure that I stay 6 feet away, wore my mask anywhere I went to. And it was funny because after we got the shot, James became more relaxed, but that scared me a little bit actually. When I saw James without a mask, I was just like, you need to put your mask on. I don't like, he taught me to do that. So professionally, I never would have thought that I seen the day that EB would allow their workers to work from home. And when they did that, that was just heaven for me. I've never worked from home before, so that was kind of cool for me to call my parents, be like, "Hey parents, how you doing? I'm in my chair and I'm working from home doing, mechanical work." So it was fun. Professionally, I loved it. Personally, you just grew, and I was able to reflect on myself and have time to think about, as what Xavier's saying, past traumas, because you have to slow down. For the most part, I spend a lot of my time, I'm always busy. If any of my friends, they'll tell you that I'm always busy. I'm always busy. And I never had the time to like stop and take a breather and think a little bit about yourself. Like, hey, did you ever resolve that past thing that you had? And I didn't. But throughout these years, without this year, I've had that chance to do that. And now, I smile a little bit more. I got more energy. So COVID has helped me a lot. It's brought me closer to my love, and it's brought me closer to myself.
So thank you. And one thing that you did say, Cecil, that I love is that it made you reflect and do some internal work, right? And I think most definitely when you were in the thick of it, of stuff like when we were talking about like a lot of the racial unrest that was going on, and the racial unrest was not new in this country. It was just new because we couldn't go anywhere and it was up in our face, right? It was right there. We had to process it and deal with it. And so definitely there was a lot of re-traumatization with that, and secondary trauma as well. For me, I will tell you, I didn't realize how much I liked engaging with my clients in person, and that I really vibed off of that energy. And when I had to do everything online, because I still have clients in Virginia, so part of my practice was online anyway, when everything had to go online, I was like, whoo, that was a lot. And Zoom fatigue is something, because when I'm meeting people in person, right, I'm not looking at my face. So if they say something and I'm like, what? I don't know that I'm saying I'm doing that. Well, I'm saying I'm doing that, on the Zoom camera. So I'm trying to police my face. I'm trying to make sure that they know that I'm engaged. I'm trying not to, I'm looking dead at, it was a lot. So definitely it has taught me. And then I was like, look, this is my face. This is what God gave me. So y'all know how your therapist is set up. So anyway, and so, you know, my clients were awesome and they understood that. But I want to jump into this. So New London Pride began in 2013, right? And so that is a long time. And since then, it's way more than Pride, right? But why do you think it was important for New London to have a Pride, y'all? What do you think? And I just want people to popcorn in. And do you think we needed to have a Pride in New London?
We need it really bad. Right now, there's not really any establishments for people to go to. There is Dockside. That's one place that people can go to on Wednesdays, but there's no real gay establishment. Like for high school students, there's sometimes GSAs during high school, but there's nowhere to go after school and during the summer. And then for adults, there's not really anything to do. And then there's also that sober community that needs some kind of space to go to, that and community. It's needed. There's not really anything in the New London area. I've done some research in the past, and a lot of it is in the bigger cities. So bringing a local group around here and trying to, you know, the Norwich, New London, Mystic area. We even go all the way into the Stonington borough. It's necessary so we can kind of commune with those people throughout the different areas over here. Within our events and other events, and even on social media and online. So it's not just even physical, it's like virtual nowadays, which is really awesome.
And
all right, whoever wants to go next. Oh, Cecil, go ahead, Cecil.
I'm sorry. And yes, so, and as piggybacking off of Edwin, and with that, Pride is forever changing, correct? So like for Pride back when people were doing Harvey Milk and during those times of Stonewall, to where it was more harsh, to Pride now, and then the Pride in the future. We should always have Pride because Pride is forever changing. The mindset of Pride is always evolving, and we should always have a safe spot, a safe place, a safe environment for people to come and feel welcomed. So every year from now until forever, I hope we have a Pride to show where we came from and where we are now and in the future.
And in our local community previously, we didn't have one. So it was like when you grew up here, you saw it happen in big cities, but you never saw it happen here. You never knew like where to gather or how to celebrate it during that time, because it wasn't local, but here it's local, and it's actually like way more accessible on like a socioeconomic level, because not everybody can just drop what they're doing and go to New York, make a day trip to Providence. Like I personally don't have time for that now, but back then I didn't have money when I was first coming out, and I was like, oh, it's right there, like it's 20 minutes away. And there's going to be people who are from my community, know what it's like to grow up here and share my experience. And it just like the homegrown aspect of it is super, super important as it evolves.
And I definitely agree with everything that everyone said. When we look at the purpose behind OutCT, it was formed from the concept of, could New London sustain a Pride? And, you know, to everyone's point, when you look at it geographically, and I myself am known to travel, you're traveling 45 minutes to another location to celebrate who you are, when there's a community right here of people who celebrate, affirm, and, you know, are all here to celebrate that Pride. So that concept that we had, could we sustain a Pride? Look at us now. We're talking about how do we even go bigger now? So it was needed. It was needed. It's still wanted, and it's growing. And, you know, we're only going to continue this work together as a community. And I'm so happy to see all these wonderful faces, because it makes us all interact. Where if you are an OG, if you are, you know, an MSM, if you are a female loving female, if you are trans identified, all these different walks from BIPOC to anything, you can come to one centralized place in your hometown and celebrate and affirm each other in a loving and safe space. And that is what New London has given, not just New London County, but our surrounding territories.
I'm going to chime in here. I'm trying to say a couple words, but y'all are a lot faster than me. Everybody knows about the New York Pride. Everybody knows that it's a really big thing. People travel from all over the country to attend. But I've also lived in Minnesota, where there was a very large gay community and a very nice pride. I've lived in Virginia, where the pride was not as big as New York, but it was still small like New London. But what it did was it connected the community. And so while, I've only been here a couple of years and I've only, had experience in the couple of prides that I've attended, I think that what everyone is saying is important. In a small community, you shouldn't have to travel out of that to be able to be your authentic self, to be comfortable in your own skin, to share, the things that you love and the places that you want to be and the people that you want to be around. You should be able to do that in your own community. So, the fact that New London Pride is growing at the rate that it's growing, I think that that's great. And I think it's something that the community needs, community members of all ages.
Yes. Thank you for giving us that perspective from a slightly older generation, Chauncey. Anyway, so listen, in the spirit of time, I'm just going to ask this last question, right? Give me your favorite pride moment. And before we adjourn our live, which I have so enjoyed, I'm going to ask Cecil, after everyone has gone and gave us their favorite New London Pride moment, if Cecil could also tell us about the rest of the activities for Pride Week. So I'm gonna go ahead and Edwin, let's go ahead and start with you. Your favorite New London Pride moment or best Pride moment.
Awesome. So my favorite New London Pride moment was as I was volunteering, I was always bringing my niece with me. And that's when she actually came out to me. She was 15 at the time, and I got her involved with the youth program. It was really nice to have her in a space where she felt comfortable enough to come out to me and say that, period. Now she's 18, she's in the military and living in Germany, but I always try to go back and look at the youth with those same kind of eyes and try to, not just youth actually, because there's always somebody coming out at a pride and it's always somebody's first pride. So I try to keep my eyes out open for those people and try to keep it fresh for myself.
Awesome. Ben, can you go?
That was weird. It's like you read my mind. My finger was on the button. So my favorite pride was actually the last one that I got to attend in person. Is the summer of 2018. I was looking to move away to Maine, and my friends from Three Rivers and I gathered together for our very last pride in person before we all moved away to like our separate schools. Some of us were only like, an hour away, and some of us were 6 hours away. That was me. And I just actually like got brave enough to go to the beach shirtless. It was like also my first time going as a trans guy who had just had top surgery. And it was just like such a, I don't know, like before I felt welcomed and loved, but then that in that moment, I just felt right. Like this is my family. And like, this is like one of the happiest moments of my life. And that was like my favorite pride.
Thank you. Xavier.
My favorite moment at Pride is my first Pride, and it is being able to affirm and celebrate the life of a trans-identified human at the age of 10 who felt they were in a safe space to share that lived experience with me.
Chancey.
I think my favorite Pride moment was, I can't remember if this was the first or second, might have been our first Pride here in New London. I was walking around the boardwalk, and Chevelle and I like to travel, and we came across a gay travel agency. And that was like the most amazing thing for me because, you don't see that. You see travel agents that are gay friendly, but you never see two, gay females having a business, advocating travel. And I thought that was really wonderful. And that was one of the best moments I had.
Last but not least, Cecil, tell us your favorite Pride moment and then lead us in as to what we can expect for the rest of Pride Week.
I tell the story a lot because it will forever be my favorite Pride moment. And that was when I was a part of the board, and I forgot what year it was, but there was music playing. The day was bright, very little clouds in the sky, and we had a band performer. I believe it was a trans performance going on, and there was this one trans youth. She had her trans flag caped over her, like the youth do, and she was dancing. She was dancing on the boardwalk in Ocean Beach. And I stopped because I had the donation bucket in my hand, and I just watched her dance. And when you have those moments, things like slow down. You know how things go. Like everything just slowly, just time stops. So I'm just observing her. And at that time, you're thinking in your head like, wow, at my age, I couldn't do that. And the only thing I could say was, you're safe. Right now, you're safe. And that was an extremely, extremely heartfelt moment for me. And it will forever be etched in my brain. So, and I'm happy that it happened at New London Pride. So yeah, that's my favorite moment.
Tell us what else we can expect this week, Pride Chair.
Okay, so finishing off for the rest of the week. So Wednesday we have karaoke at Dockside at 32 Bank Street. I hope we see you guys there. It starts at 8:30. Come and show us your voices. Can't wait to hear you all. Ain't that right, Mama Moss? You gonna come sing for us? Ooh, she said no. Okay, Thursday we're going to tone it down. We're going to go to Flanders Fish Market in East Lyme at 2 East Chesterfield Road, and we're going to have dinner from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Please come by. They're going to make a specialty drink for us. They haven't told us what it is yet, but I hope to see you guys there. Friday we have berries. Has it been confirmed? It has been, yes, so it has been confirmed. We wanted to make sure that was going to happen. Berries ice cream. Oh, I can't wait. They had a strawberry cheesecake ice cream last time I went there. I can't wait for that. So I hope to see you guys there for berries ice cream. That's going to start at 6. Then of course the day we all been waiting for, Saturday, which is going to be Pride. Pride is going to start at 12 o'clock. Our performers, we're going to start with an announcement, and then it's going to be hosted by our famous one and only Carrie Ashton, and it's going to go for the adult side of Pride is going to go from 12 to 5, and then the youth is going to take us home from 5 until the sun goes down. So that's going to be a really, really great time. Hope to see you guys there. Enjoy the sun, enjoy company, enjoy the vendors, enjoy us. Just have a great time there. And then Sunday, we're going to have our, what's the word I'm looking for? Interfaith. So we're going to have a sermon at 10 a.m. This is going to be so great. You can actually see, if you want to see the sermon, it's going to be on YouTube. You can go to YouTube, All Souls New London. And there you can actually see that at any time of the day. Now it's going to start at 10 a.m. because you know how that's how church folks do. We start at 10. That's how we work. But if you do miss it, you can see it at any time of the day. And that'll be our week for New London Pride.
Thank you so much. Also, to y'all, if you have any other questions, feel free to go to www.newlondonpride.com. And also, Cecil, you forgot to mention the Thursday gaming program.
Yes, I completely forgot. Sorry, I saw you. I love you, babes. So please stop by New London Crystal Mall. We are hosting a Smash Brothers Ultimate tournament that day for the Pride Week. We're going to be celebrating Pride because our community is diverse. A lot of us like to go to church. A lot of us like to play video games. A lot of us like to just sip wine and just have a good time on the beach. So we're trying to catch everything. So please, Thursday, starting at 6 o'clock, babes. 5 o'clock. Starting at 5 o'clock. Please come and join. We're going to have Smash Brothers. We're going to have Smash Brothers Ultimate there. But at the same exact time, we do have other games that you can play as well. But it's going to be focused on Smash Brothers.
So listen, y'all, you have heard it here. Just as diverse as our panel is, so is our Pride Week. And so if you did not know, on Sunday, we kicked it off with our drag brunch. Sky Casper co-sponsored that with us. It was fantastic. And then yesterday, and you can continue to see our virtual art show, right? Oh my God, the artists are amazing, different mediums, different forms. And so that is also on our social media page. And so then tomorrow, karaoke, Thursday, Gamers Game, right? And then also, if you want to go get your little food from Flanders, a portion of their proceeds, they will donate to OutCT. You can meet some of our board members. I will be there. Edwin will be there. Chancey will be there. Our board president, I think Zay may be there. I'm not quite sure. So anyway, whoever's gonna be there, we're gonna say hi, y'all. That's what we're gonna say. We're gonna say hi. We can't hug you though. Don't 6 feet. But anywho, we still gonna love on you and be so happy that you are here to support. And of course, our wonderful Pride Festival, right? Which, as you have heard, has so important on so many levels from various people, and why it is so important for us to have. So thank you to our founder, Constance, right? Who did the study to realize that New London could actually hold and maintain a Pride. And we have been doing it, honey, for 8 years. Can you believe that? 8 years. Woo! Lord have mercy. So anywho, I'm excited. Thank you so much for spending this good Tuesday with us for Who's in the Neighborhood New London Pride Edition. And you can see it on our YouTube channel, child. Listen, this is Chevelle Moss-Savage and all of my wonderful panel guests signing off saying, see y'all next month, right? Bye, y'all. Happy Pride. Happy Pride.